I like to ride my bicycle. I like to ride my bike. Welcome to HowDoWeHuman. This is the podcast where we talk about all the weird and uncomfortable micro moments in life. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Binning.
I'm one of your hosts, Evan Cox.
Today we're going to be talking about cycling, particularly on bicycles, although perhaps unicycles
I do want to talk about unicycles.
Or tricycles, I suppose. But
not to get ahead of ourselves.
Not necessarily motorcycles.
No, well, I could say something about motorcycles.
I said unicycles.
Unicycles was what initially made me want to talk about that. So I'm glad you said that because I didn't write notes about it. But I'm like, oh yeah, I have important things to say about unicycles. We'll get there.
Yeah, first we've got to figure out kind of what's going on in each other's lives.
Yeah.
So to kick it off, Evan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I've been to Stater Brothers recently. These are, at a certain point, I don't have to say this shit. I'm doing great. I've been to Stater Brothers. But like my
Evan's classic catchphrase.
Doing great. Been to the grocery store. Like my experience with the Sunset Vons, where it's like I go here every day. I love it. Mm-hmm. But I'm also having all these awful fucking experiences there. This is my growing relationship with the Stater Brothers in town. Similar, this will be a quick story. This is an anecdote. Get ready.
Coincidentally, that's what mine's going to be too.
Oh, we're going to have a lot of time. It sounds like, I think we can promise we are going to get to motorcycles. So similar to, I think it was my last story at Stater Brothers where you end up, with the manager coming up behind me and being like, hey, move to this line. And it's a 15 item or less line. And I'm like, oh no, I have 100 items. I got a basket full of stuff. I was going to make some pho. I tried making that before. I love the stuff, and it came out not very flavorful, but it sounded really, really good. And so I'm like, I'm going to get stuff to do that. We didn't end up doing it yesterday, but I'm going to do it today. And I'll let you know how it goes. So I got a basket. I got a decent amount of stuff in the basket.
The lotion?
I mean, it puts the lotion in the basket. Could you hold back if you saw Bill Skarsgård shopping and he was buying some lotion and he put it basket?
And he put it
in the basket. You're like, oh, it puts the lotion in the basket.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering
where is he going?
How Bill Skarsgård was going to tie into this, but
the crow himself.
I get it now. The titular crow.
Nosferatu himself. The guy's everywhere. He's a fucking ghoul. Anyways, I got a basket full of stuff. All right. There was no lotion in it.
Okay.
So
you got to get those again.
Not fuck. I'm you got your stuff in a basket. I'm in line. Someone's checking out ahead of me. I'm taking stuff out of the basket and putting it on the belt. I don't know where you stand on this, because a lot of people will just put the whole basket on there. I've found that, some cashiers are even just say, I just put the basket on there, no problem. But I've run into some cashiers that are really weird about that and just fuck you. I feel like I end up getting an attitude. So I've just stopped doing it entirely. I always empty the basket item by item, put everything on the conveyor belt or whatever you want to call it. And the same, not the same person, actually it could have been the same person, but a managerial force who was standing nearby comes up and stands behind me. Doesn't say anything. He's just standing there. So I'm like, maybe she's getting something? But she didn't have anything in her hands, so I'm still just putting stuff, and I kind of unintentionally, but I look behind me with a look of fuck do you want? And she goes
aren't you the guy that went to the 15 items or less line with 100 items?
Points to my picture on the wall.
Yeah.
Out. No, she says, I'll take your basket when you're done. I'm like, okay. Thinking like, it's gonna be a sec. I don't like the feeling of someone standing behind me, watching me, and
Mm-hmm.
waiting on me to finish doing something.
Yeah.
That's basically the whole story. So I had to unload the rest of the items and then give her the basket. And she's like, okay, thanks. I'm like, is this necessary? I don't like it. I don't like being watched,
Yeah.
especially not that closely.
Yeah, that is strange. I mean, I would assume that, um, and I love to take defense of corporations, but
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
assume that they've had basket thievery going on, and
What?
so that's why they're right behind you of like, give me the basket.
You
You
think
don't get to walk out with the basket.
they thought I was going to steal the basket
Yes,
while
that's
I
my
had
thought.
the basket and was emptying it in line
Yes.
at the grocery store? I
Yes.
hope not, because I'm going to do that every time. If you keep pushing me, I'm going to steal that basket.
See, exactly.
I wasn't going to before. They
It's a
pushed me into this
self-fulfilling prophecy
life
that they
of
have.
crime. When I worked at Walgreens, we put the stickers on our baskets, the little stickers that'll set off the alarm. They're not doing this. That's a better system.
Yeah,
Put a
that
sticker
is a
on your
better
basket.
system.
Get off my ass. Chris,
Yes.
how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I Look, this is a very short story. I was out yesterday
We love a short king.
and 4 separate times this happened to me in one day. And I'm
Okay.
sorry to even put this image in your mind, Evan,
Oh, I don't like this.
but I walked through 4 separate spider webs
Ugh.
in different locations yesterday. It's
Ah.
it's hot spider summer, Evan,
It is.
and I am not on board.
I didn't know if that was happening down in the greater LA area. There's spiders all over the place up here this summer. It's
Yeah.
like every day there will be a spider web cutting across the staircase out front. And you can take it down, and the next day it'll be back. I hate
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Not a
I
fan.
mean, they're in like, relatively trafficked areas that I was walking through them, but just multiple times yesterday walking, being like, God damn it, and I'm gonna try and peel the
Yeah,
webbing off of
yeah.
my arms and off of my face. Real upsetting.
Well, it's even worse when it's a high trafficked area because it's like, how the hell am I the one to walk
Yeah,
through this?
they targeted me.
They do. They target you. We do an episode about spiders. I hate those little
I was gonna
bastards.
say, do you think you can can get through an episode on spiders, or are you
Unless
gonna be
someone's
too
out here
fearful?
wanting to fucking share pictures
Hmm. Should we have a
of
spider
nasty
as
little
a guest
boys.
on on the
I mean,
episode?
that does sound kind of fun. That is something that would that right there is a fun use of AI. If we go to ChatGPT and just say, we're gonna like talk to you and ask you a bunch of questions, please answer as a spider. That would be very fun.
Not to delay our discussion of
Please.
cycling, because we have to leave time for motorcycles.
Yeah.
But
Now I made a promise to the
something
people.
you and I haven't talked about in person, or I should say off mic, when we bullshit for an hour or so before we
Mm-hmm.
start recording. Um, are you as big a fan of um Google AI just pulling like Reddit shit posts as fact whenever you Google something now? Are you as big a
It's
fan of that as I am?
it's it's weird. I think that is maybe the best example of why current iteration of AI is a big fucking problem because it didn't start that way. And there was a brief moment where I'm like, oh, this is kind of helpful. It's just kind of like summing up all the information. And then real quickly, like people, AI just got really big into Reddit.
Yeah.
Do you see this? Check this post out. From Come Dragon 420. Yeah, no, it's terrible. But I love it.
Speaking of something that may or may not be terrible, cycling. You ever been on a bicycle?
I haven't owned a bike since I was a young man. I've never owned a bike my parents didn't buy me for Christmas. Which is weird. I really enjoy, I'll say, cycling, bicycling. I like a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I like riding them. But no, not. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I was doing a bike. I guess you call it the bike share program in Long Beach. Pay like I think it was like a monthly fee of like $5 a month or something like that, and they just have bikes all over the place, and you can just hop on a bike and ride it as long as you want. That was really nice. I should have a bike. You?
Is that similar to like the bird scooters and stuff where like they just have stations and stuff kind of around?
Similar in that way, but yeah, different because it's like, you just have a subscription, so you just kind of like scan your card and you just take the bike for as long as you want. You're not being charged extra, or maybe not as long as you want. There might have been a limit, like a 3-hour limit or something like that. It was nice though. Yeah, I'd like to own a bike. It's one of those things that I think is just a little rich for my blood. And that's not even true. They're probably like $100. Yeah. I don't shop for bikes. Where are you on your bike journey?
I also have not owned a bike that my parents had not purchased for me. And I don't really remember the last time I rode a bike.
Yeah.
It's probably been over a decade at least. And part of that is because biking is an environmentally friendly way to get around.
Yes.
However, every week, unless it's really last minute, we post on Instagram asking for people's thoughts and stories about whatever topic we're about to record.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, user at hand.heartnet.
Gonna have to start paying you as a contributor.
I know.
If we ever make any money.
And I believe this is not the first time where at hand.heartnet has properly summed up my own feelings about a topic. I believe this has happened once before relatively recently, but like I am at the end of every episode, it gets completely washed out as soon as we hit stop recording. But anyway, she says that riding bikes on the road scares me, but I'll ride a Peloton for miles though. And that kind of sums it up for me also. I see how reckless drivers are and are continuing to become. And I've almost hit somebody on a bike before while driving. So I don't really want to be out here riding a bike, even though it seems like both a good form of exercise, which is why, like, if I had an exercise bike, I'd be more like inclined to do that.
Absolutely.
But also, like, a good way to exercise, and also, as I said, an environmentally like friendly way to get around. But not really worth getting hit by one of those big ass Tesla Cybertrucks.
That's one thing the Tesla Cybertruck is good for. Murder.
Hitting bikes, yeah.
Yeah, there's a war between the bikes and the cars.
Yeah.
As old as the First World War. Bikes and cars.
Please, Evan, we cannot try to figure out dates of wars again.
Pearl Harbor. Hit me.
We need our check-in for
We do need our
when
check-in.
did Pearl Harbor happen?
1941?
Yes.
Whew. Woof! But there's a war between bikes and cars, which sounds like a Transformers thing, I'm saying. But it's like...
That'd be awesome. The next Transformers movie should be like robots that disguise themselves as bikes versus the Transformers who mostly disguise themselves as cars.
I like it. I am placing my bet on the cars.
Yeah, good bet.
But that's the thing is you're so we've both spent a decent amount of time living in large cities, which is a different vibe of bike riding. And I rode my bike around the streets of the LBC, because I'm hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama there.
I mean, a little, but like. Long Beach, it's like people aren't driving crazy fast, but people can be. There's a lot of weird intersections in Long Beach, same as Seattle, which is why I was always like, I don't want to ride a bike in Seattle, because you get these like 6-way intersections. And I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? No, thank you. But if you look at city bikers around you when you're in a car, these are very aggressive people, and they have to be, I think, or that's how they see it, because they don't want to die. But they end up kind of being the aggressors often in the situation, and I feel like a lot of cyclists that almost die, it's because they are cycling like maniacs. So and maybe I'm wrong. Don't come at me, cyclers. It just feels like you say, a self-fulfilling prophecy that baskets get stolen and cyclists get hit by Cybertrucks. So I don't want any part of that. I do agree with that sentiment that it's just not worth it at a certain point. I now live in an area without big city infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
But that also does mean like, there's not bike lanes. So
Right.
I don't know. If I bought a bike, it'd be for like, I guess, mountain biking, which I don't know about mountain biking. It's not something I've ever done, and I'm uncomfortable trying new things.
Yeah, me too. My friend's stepdad, I think, had a mountain bike, and then he took a real bad fall and had a bad time. So it is like, as things, instead of technology necessarily evolving to become more safe, it feels like more and more activities are becoming more and more dangerous, and whether that's the technology itself, or, as the kids say, a skill issue for people using it, I don't know. Sometimes it's different depending on the situation, but there are a lot of things related to cycling where, like, I'm just not interested in really even trying at this point in my life.
Yeah.
Even the Peloton, of course, famous for killing off terrible character, but apparently fan favorite Mr. Big in the Sex and the City
so I've
reboot,
heard.
and just like that, he has a heart attack on his Peloton and he dies.
And just like that. Bikes aren't safe. But I love the feel of it, especially as a former skater boy.
Yeah.
Say, see you later, boy.
See you later, boy, of course.
But I like that feeling of just the wind on my face. I'm blasting through. But I don't know. Going back to like the idea of bike lanes, I love a bike lane. If every street had a bike lane or was like a residential street, absolutely, I'd be down. But both in Seattle and in my old apartment in like the East Hollywood area, it's like that main street right there where you're at in Seattle. I'm talking Broadway, and in the East Hollywood area, like what was that? What the fuck was that street at the bottom? Hoover's at the top, but the big one goes to the Vista.
Vermont?
Vermont,
Or,
yes.
Yeah.
Was it Vermont? Who knows anymore?
I think it starts with a V. I just don't remember if it's Vermont or if it's the other one that I also can't remember.
Yeah, no, it's not Vermont. Vermont's where the arcade is and the train, but more importantly, the arcade. I'll never remember the street that I lived on. I lived on. Now I can say I lived on Marathon. Information's out there. Wow, that kills me. Anyways,
listeners, find Marathon. He didn't say street or drive or avenue or road, but find any street with the name Marathon in it and go door to door asking if the Evan Cox ever lived there.
And if you ask the right person, they'll be like, hell yeah, I like that guy. Don't ask the wrong people. But anyways, what I'm trying to say.
How many people...
Boy, here we go.
Hey, because as you said on previous iterations of the podcast, you did live in an apartment building.
This is true.
How many people in that building would you say would be like, hell yeah, I love that guy? Or like how many of your old neighbors?
So first off, the answer is Virgil Street. Virgil. Definitely my immediate neighbor, and I'd say the people that used to own the building. They loved me. Outside of that, that's it.
Okay. Well, we've really helped our listeners narrow it down as it is Marathon between Hoover and Virgil. So
yeah.
Good luck, scavengers.
Find me. I brought this up to say that both Virgil Street and Broadway in Seattle, they're biggish streets with a bike lane. But they're also the only streets anywhere near that have a bike lane, or at least used to. I haven't lived in Seattle for over a decade now, so maybe it's changed. But I'm like, so that it's nice to have a bike lane, but even like Virgil, I'd ride down that. I'm thinking scooters now because I didn't have a bike, but you'd take a scooter down a bike lane, and then at a certain point the bike lane just stops, and it's like, no, now I'm in the middle of traffic. And now I've got that horrible intersection by the Vista. It always happens. Wherever you're going, it's like you've got a bike lane for an eighth of the ride. Then you're on your own. So I don't know where I appreciate the infrastructure. I love a bike lane. But there's never going to be enough to make it moderately safe to ride your bicycle in the city.
Yeah.
I can't do it. When you were a youngin' and you had a bicycle, what kind of brakes did you have on that sucker?
I don't know. I mean, I think
brakes versus pedal brakes.
I think that I ended up having both on different bikes. So I think I had pedal brakes and I think I had hand brakes.
Wow. Must be nice.
Pedal brakes for you or what?
I was a pedal brake bike boy. This is just what I had. This is what I was given, born unto, having pedal brakes, which in retrospect, I think a lot of people look back on as like, that's wimpy kid shit. This goes in the diary of the wimpy kid.
Mm-hmm.
You and your pedal brakes. I may have told this story at some point about going to the Grace Harbor County Fairgrounds with a friend of mine when I was a kid, and he had bikes. He had two bikes, but they only had handbrakes. I was like, when you've never used them before, you're like, I'm pretty sure I've got a handle on this.
You got that handle.
I got that handle. You squeeze the handle, and it breaks. And this
Yeah.
kid was like a fucking daredevil. I was a little safety boy. I was like, I'm not putting myself in harm's way. Whenever I can avoid it, I'm going to hide like a safe little man. But he was a daredevil, and he was a friend. So I was like, oh, I want to impress, that old
Mm-hmm.
game of being a child. And so there was this tall, like, and this was like I think his mom had something to do there. She was part of a committee or something. So we were literally just going, it was not fair time. There were no rides up or animals around or anything. It was just empty fairground. And there was this like large ramp, which was probably for like unloading animals, honestly, like off a truck or rides or whatever.
Yeah.
So he wanted to go up to the top of it and ride the bike down. And he did it. And I was like, wow, that looked cool as hell. I'm fucking terrified. It was tall. This is probably as tall as I am. So as a kid, you're 6 something off the ground, 6 feet, going down a ramp. That's fucking scary. But I was like, I don't want to embarrass myself, so I'm going to do it. Because I can't embarrass myself in front of my friend. So I do it, and I'm going so fast, and it was fun, and I immediately hit the front tire brake because I didn't know they were different brakes, and just flipped, landed straight on my face, and cried. So this is what you get as a kid when you're trying not to embarrass yourself. How much better would it have been if I had just been like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Versus
that's
being
true.
mercilessly laughed at, because I would laugh at that too. It's a pretty funny image. It fucking hurt. And then I just went and sat in their family's truck by myself the rest of the time.
Nice.
Yeah. Did I make the right call?
Yeah, no, I feel like
I fucked up somewhere.
Yeah, it feels like if you had just been like, no thanks, then maybe that would have been better. There's like a really big hill in my parents' neighborhood that I remember riding my Razor scooter down.
Ooh, love that.
And I would assume that I
for you.
also rode my bike down it, but like for some reason the bike feels much more dangerous than the scooter for some reason to me, and I don't really know why.
Up in. When you fall, the bike's coming with you. That's what always scared me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wiped out on my scooter, not on that hill, but I definitely remember wiping out on my scooter. I don't remember crashing on my bike ever. I'm sure I must have. I'm positive I did. I just don't remember it. But it definitely felt more dangerous, or at least in my memory, it feels more dangerous for me to have gone down that hill in my bike. So I wonder if I actually did or not. I feel like I must have, because like, what else are you gonna do? Like, you're on a bike. Yeah. Why wouldn't you go down the big hill?
Gotta do it.
But kind of tying into safety a little bit. I always wore my helmet. But I always felt like a little dork wearing my helmet. Dork. And, everybody should wear their helmet.
Yes.
For sure. There was, here in LA, there was just another story on the news yesterday of a father and his 3 children getting hit by a car while they were on their bikes.
Jesus.
And then they show the mugshot of the driver, and it's like the least sober man you've ever seen in your life. But
that's terrible.
Yeah, but that's like, those people are out there, so definitely wear your helmet so that when they
especially with your kids.
Yeah. I mean, it was the father was on a bike and then towing one of those little like wagon camper tent things with 2 of the kids, and then I think
and the 2 kids were the Son and the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, that's right. And then there was the one that didn't fit into that into that naming had to be on his own bike. But yeah, anyway, like
Sorry,
it
Chad.
there's always that feeling of like, oh man, I don't look cool with my
Hmm.
helmet on. Still wear it, but it definitely like it's kind of similar to what we've talked about with hats where like it always
Yeah.
felt like it doesn't quite fit right. It fits well enough for me to be safe, and I'm glad I have it on, but it doesn't. It feels like something ain't right. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be so much cooler if I was letting the wind blow through my thinning hair?
That's what it always felt like for me too. And doubly skateboarding. You go to the skate
Yeah,
park and started skating when I was like 12 or 13. There's like 20, 25-year-olds at the park without their helmets on. I was like, well, don't I look lame as shit? But yeah, biking, it's like there's multiple kinds of helmets. You either got the big bulky one, which looks pretty stupid,
mm-hmm.
but seems very safe and moderately comfortable to wear. Or you got a Tour de France helmet. You got one of
Yeah, the
these
aerodynamic helmet.
aerodynamic, slick back helmets. And I'm like, none of you are going that fast. None of you need to be
Right.
aerodynamic. This is just for looks. But if they wear them in the Tour de France, is this safer? I don't know. I don't know enough about helmets. All I know is like every fucking year in the NFL, they change the helmet structure.
Yeah.
Like, now
Yeah.
this one's gonna stop the brain from ruining and rotting inside someone's head, so that the rest of their life is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to have worked yet. So I think a helmet helps.
Yeah. I
I don't know
definitely
what to
think
do.
it helps.
I do recommend wearing them if I'm coming across like I'm not.
Yeah, I want to be clear
Wear
that
your
this is a
helmets.
this is a pro helmet
We should
podcast,
wear
which is
helmets while we're
probably
podcasting, to be fair.
it's probably why we're so low in the podcast charts is because we're pro helmet. I guarantee you some of those popular ones are anti
Oh,
helmets.
we're a couple of beta males with our little beta helmets.
Yeah, everybody that doesn't believe in alpha male stuff being real because it's been debunked by science automatically gets put into beta males.
But on the front of because you let me do the math. You would have been a little bit younger than me when we were kids.
That's true. That's good math.
Thank you. 1941.
Yep.
Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Um, but what? So I feel like I was like in the younger teen world when BMX started taking over the world.
Sure.
What was his name? R.I.P. Had his own video game. Matt Hoffman. And these fellas. And like, I was a skateboarder, and I'm like, that's the coolest thing in the world. But then you see some of these guys riding ramps on bikes, and they got the bars on the spokes. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool too. Were you aware of that in your youth? And did you ever want the bars on the spokes to do grinds or let people ride behind you? Or were you ever into trying like wheelies or jumps on your bike?
No, I was never into any of that.
Nothing
I did
extreme.
know nothing extreme. um, everybody, there were people when that started getting popular.
Yeah.
There were. This is not going to make any fucking sense. But I've already started. There's
No turning back
people-
now.
there's the people like me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Who would be a goofy movie. And then there are the other people.
Oh, I see.
An extremely goofy movie.
Yes.
And I was very much a goofy movie and not an
Got it.
extremely goofy
I
movie.
lived my life between the goofs.
I lived my life one goof at a time.
One goof at a time. I did the extreme things, but I was, of those characters, I was the goofy, falling down the mountain on his skateboard, accidentally doing cool tricks.
Yeah, ahaha hooey.
And the rest.
You would also show up to woo the school librarian in your big disco outfit, right?
Yeah. Extremely
Your
goofy
big
movie.
afro.
Listen, goofy movie, one of the greatest musicals of all time.
Absolutely.
Putting that out there. Extremely
Those power
goofy.
line songs are
ballin'.
fucking rule.
And Out on the Open Road. And that first song.
Sure.
I know all the words to every song in that movie. But an extremely goofy movie was just like, we're not a musical, but we've got like one of the best soundtracks. It's a killer soundtrack. A lot of good disco stuff. Fun time.
Yeah, I mean, both of those movies are pretty fun.
They're good shit. Anyway,
I did. There were people that had the. We called them pegs.
That's what they were. I could not remember. Okay. Yes, pegs.
But pegs on their tires so that people could ride either in front or behind. People had pegs on the front tire as well.
Yeah.
And that just always seemed too dangerous for me. And also, like, you know,
you're gonna get a lot of hop-ons.
Where am I supposed to put my hands?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where. Do I put them like on your shoulder? Like you're giving me a piggyback ride?
You kind of, yeah, you kind of have to stand like a meerkat. Do I wrap them around
your torso? I don't know what to do. And so that probably more than the danger is probably why I chose not to ride with anybody.
This is going to be uncomfortable. I was just
like, I don't know where.
I'm not going to ask.
We didn't have intimacy coordinators back then. Nobody could tell me how to ride the bike.
Where can you don't want to hop on. Someone's like, oh yeah, hop on the pegs. And you stand on them and you just in their ear like, where do you want me to touch you?
Yeah.
Where is it okay to touch?
Yeah. Is this good for you?
Is this good? Is this good?
Am I doing it right?
Yeah. I mean,
don't stop pedaling
until you've said that. Didn't really occur to me, but like, yeah, no, that's an absolute concern. I never, I never did. I don't think anyone. I think maybe once in my life someone was like, "Hop on," and I did. I think is the commitment I'm making to this.
Yeah. You mentioned the Tour de France, Evan.
It's true.
Did you ever watch it?
No. And here are my immediate and quick thoughts. I wrote them down. I think the Tour de France is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think televising it is not.
Okay.
So who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Have I stomped on your dreams? Are you a big Tour de France head?
No, I think I've only watched it once, and I didn't watch it all the way through. It was just like on one day because it's a multi-day event. And so I think I saw part of it for one day. I do kind of agree that like it's really not that interesting unless
there to watch?
There's a massive crash at like the start of the race or something where like everybody starts domino affecting and hitting each other. That like I think that there should be cameras on the Tour de France,
of course,
but I think we can just get like an hour highlight reel or something like that.
We're in Tour de France time. It's near or happened recently. I think it hasn't happened yet, but it's close.
All right, I'm gonna look it up.
Jocelyn and I have been watching back through old seasons of Top Chef for a while now. That's on Peacock, and Peacock is promoting the fuck out of two things: the Olympics and the Tour de France, because I'm sure they're the ones airing the Tour de France, NBC. And so the ads for it, it's like just guys with blood all over their face. Like, I know this is not the bulk of it. I've turned it on before, and you see like 30 guys on bikes turn a corner, and then you just go like, I think I got it. I think I see how the rest of this race goes. Be cool to see who wins.
We are in the Tour de France time, and I had no idea that it was this long. I thought it was like a week.
It's longer.
But according to Google, and granted, this could be some Reddit shit posting to get this date in here. Okay, looking now at some other sources, I can confirm. The Tour de France started June 29th.
Okay.
And is going to finish July 21st.
Wow. Really?
Right? Yeah.
That sucks. What? I mean, it's the same as, like, what do you call it? Scaling Mount Everest. Scaling?
Sure.
Is that the right word? I don't think
so.
it is. Maybe it is. But, like, I get for the sake of saying you did it. Honestly, to a certain degree, and sorry to my sister, because she does these all the time, and I'm like, I feel the same way about marathons. I'm like, why the fuck am I running 26 miles? Fuck
26 for the full, 13 for the half. I mean, and some change on both of those, but yeah.
I do that for a sticker to put on the back of my car? No, I don't. No, I don't. I ran
I can just buy the sticker.
I ran a 400 a few times in track, and at the end of it, I was like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
A month of bike riding. I don't know.
It feels like, there should be cameras on, because it's multiple stages, I guess.
Okay.
And so they're kind of posting results now as of recording this. They just posted the results of stage 11 of the Tour de France. But so I do think that there should be cameras around catching all the footage, but then I think like just put together like an hour and a half documentary kind of like highlighting what happened this year.
That is that's like a way in. I have so little interest. Like, I mean, it's like we as a nation, we only knew of one Tour de France competitor.
Yes.
I challenge anyone to name someone competing in the Tour de France.
Yeah. I mean, we knew about him.
Tour de Lance.
Yeah, the Tour de Lance. We knew about him for his bracelets and his balls,
big swollen balls,
and his cameo in Dodgeball.
Yes.
But anyways, when I lived in Phoenix, anytime there was a big group of bikers that came by, sometimes on their biking groups, or like especially on the weekends, you'll see a big group of people cycling together, and I always said, "Oh, there must be the Tour de Phoenix." People would laugh every time.
That's a good time.
Yeah,
I like it.
So if you live in a place that starts with an F sound, that's a great little witticism that people will go, that's not necessarily funny, but I do laugh at it.
On that, I was going to say the Tour de Forest, which is close to where I'm at. You've driven up this mountain.
Yes.
People cycle that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then, you'll just be driving up there, and there's some I'm going to call him a fucking douchebag with his aerodynamic helmet and his biker shorts on, just biking up the helmet. And they're doing it now in 90-degree weather.
Yeah, miserable.
There's got to be something better you can do with your time.
Up to Big Bear, they bike up that hill also. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Getting good exercise?
In the summertime, they just bike straight up the ski slopes. I don't know. People enjoy it. It's not for me, and I don't think it should be for you.
Yeah. Look, time is starting to wind down a little bit here, Evan.
It's
and
true.
I know that you have two different things that you still need to discuss.
This is a big deal.
So, what do you have to say about unicycles, and what do you have to say about motorcycles?
Listen, here's the big deal.
Unless motorcycles are going to be the Matt Damon of this podcast and get bumped for time.
When I was a young man, Dibba 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 dibba
I know, it's
dum.
really like every time you say it, this is my Mr. Will say. Is every time you say when I was a young man. That's I always want to do the
Dibba 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 dibba
yeah.
dum. This would have been. This would have been.
This would have
It
been
would have been. Dibba 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 duh. Middle school. So
great.
I'm in elementary school. Not right now.
Right.
At the time, I was in elementary school. I had an older sister, and she had her friends, and she had some friends that were a little older than her. So I knew through all these people, and also just like my dad taught in the school district at the time, so he knew it too. At a certain point, you're going to get to middle school, which in Elma starts in the sixth grade. In the sixth grade, in one PE class that year, we're going to do all sorts of crazy shit. You're going to learn, or not even learn, you're going to get shit to juggle. You're going to get a ride unicycles. You're going to get a ride on those little platforms with wheels on them and play games on those.
Those were awesome. We had those.
What an exciting day. And so I knew from my dad that this happened. I knew from my sister's friends because she'd heard they did it, and then my sister did it. I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait. Because I'm also like a goofy kid. And I always joked with my sister, which as you get older, I realize like, oh, that's like a hipster thing that they'll do. And it's like, well, but when I was a kid, I used to joke about like, I want one of those bikes with the big back or the big front tire and the little tire in the
penny
back.
farthing.
The penny farthing. I want to ride one of those around because that's funny to me. So the idea of getting a chance to ride a unicycle, and that's again,
especially when you have clown blood.
I have clown blood
in your veins. Yeah,
I can unicycle and juggle at the same time, and in my mind, I can.
Right.
My year was the year they stopped letting kids ride unicycles.
That sucks.
Fuck off.
we never had unicycles, but we did have juggling and those little platforms with wheels on them.
Yeah.
Which I think have also now maybe stopped. I think they stopped using
those were never
now.
particularly safe. A lot of running over hair and fingers.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're that
so
day,
fun.
I did just like hard embrace juggling and taught myself how to juggle with bowling pins. And I would love the chance to do that again. I think I could still do it.
I think we need to find a way for you to to fulfill
get on a unicycle,
the unicycle void in your heart.
Yeah.
I think we got to get you on a unicycle.
See, and it's one of those things you, as an adult, you just torture yourself, and you realize, like, because that popped into my head, and it was that feeling of like, I never got to do that. I'm still upset about it.
Yeah.
But I've never looked up.
Who knows what your life could look like now if you had ridden a unicycle?
I've just circled around all these things because I grew up around a clown.
Yeah.
I could have, but didn't ride a unicycle. I taught myself to juggle, not very great at it, but I taught myself magic. I was very into magic. I got a ventriloquist dummy at a certain... This is the kid. This is Evan.
Oh, all right.
Magic tricks in the ventriloquist dummy. Like, and then doing improv, you find out like, oh, you're circling clowning. Like, it's right
Sure.
there. A lot of the people have also taken clown classes and do clowning shit. I just feel like I haven't taken that leap. But a part of it is what I'm trying to say. As an adult, I have no idea how much a unicycle costs. We're gonna look it up right now. What do you think?
Please
what do you think? What do you want?
I think a unicycle costs $175.
I was gonna say 150.
All right, let's see. We'll see what. I'm sure there's a range, obviously, but we'll see what kind of numbers come up.
Okay, so there is a range, but the first one that came up is clearly for kids, and for a second I was gobsmacked because it was $37.
Yeah, no,
I was like, I'm buying that now. On Amazon.com, I'll say, from what I can tell, and Amazon's probably not the best place to buy a unicycle. Tell me if you know where it is. This range, which weirdly, one is a brand called Sun, the other is a brand called Fun. The Fun one's 24-inch wheel, the Sun one's 20-inch wheel, and the 20-inch wheel is more expensive.
Interesting.
Well, the 24-inch wheel, 131. The 20-inch wheel, 159. So right in between us, about 160.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
I would love if at this point in your life you made a career change into like, you know what? I've circled around it for so long.
Yeah.
I'm going to lock in. I'm going to be the Cox clown. I'm going to be Evan Cox the clown.
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't genuinely thought about it. We did an episode about clowns, haven't we? Or have we not? This is a lot. I got a lot to talk about.
I don't think so. Okay, maybe clowns is coming up soon.
No, well, like after our improv team broke up and I started just taking classes on my own at other places, I'd consider taking clowning classes in the like improv sense, commedia dell'arte,
right?
But also, I just looked into that. Like, I don't know. There's something. It's tough because people hate clowns. People think clowns are scary. But I think there's something genuinely. But also, people think clowns are creepy. I think is the big problem.
Yes,
because they're children's entertainers.
Your boy Bill Skarsgård, putting the lotion in his basket. I think he really. He's a big proponent of that clown fear mongering.
I mean, genuinely, it is like the beginning of people being afraid of clowns. It's Tim fucking Curry being fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess maybe what's his face? John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, that doesn't help.
The clown? Yeah.
It certainly didn't help matters. But I'm like, I think there's something very. Derek and I have argued about this in the past because again, we both have relatives who are clowns. I'm firmly on the side of like, I think it's a noble profession. I think entertaining children is a very noble thing to do, whether you're writing kids' books or doing magic or being a clown. Like, who doesn't love making a kid laugh? That's the best. Derek thinks like, no, clowns are creepy and no one should be clowns. But I've put some thought into that. Like, what would that look like if I were to just full on embrace it? And just start
clowning with Cox.
See, I can't. This is always where I get. I go like, I can't do it. You just immediately look like a pedophile. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But yeah,
you maybe you're an adult party clown.
Ooh, okay, we could come up with something fun. But anyways, yeah. So that's my unicycle
for like
story.
Bachelorette parties. Instead, when they're like, "Oh, we don't want a stripper," the other bridesmaids are like, "Hey, I got you. Let's get the adult party clown, Evan Cox."
Cox, the horny clown. It's like,
for my next trick, I give you a 30 to 60 second hug.
You have to guess if these are my hands. No, that's a funny bit right there. I'm a clown. They're like, we don't want a stripper, but a clown, and you're acting all sexy and you're trying to strip, but there's just more and more clothes underneath.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, and you like go to take off your belt, but it's one of those never-ending like ribbon
scarves.
things.
This is good. Let us know. I'll do it.
Yeah.
If there's if there's someone out there,
hire Evan Cox as their bachelorette party clown.
If you're having a bachelorette party and this sounds like a fun idea to you, let me know. I'll prep. I'll do it. I will dive in and be a bachelorette party clown. I don't know how it'll go. We might all regret it, but it'll be memorable. Any sides. Any sides. I'd like to ride a unicycle.
Yeah.
I think the closest to a unicycle I've been on would be like a pogo stick. And I rock a pogo stick.
Pogo stick is one of those things that I can't do either.
Oh,
so
no.
I don't think I would be good on a unicycle.
For like
I think
reasons.
I might just have to I might just have to be on the business side of this clowning enterprise that you're starting up.
What's the clowniest thing that you do in day-to-day life?
In day-to-day life?
Yeah.
I mean, I did walk through 4 separate spider webs. That feels a little wacky.
It does feel wacky. All right, I'll take it.
Do we have time to talk about motorcycles, Evan?
I mean, I don't have much to say that I haven't said already. It's good to remind everyone in case everyone's forgotten. I mean, my grandpa was a big motorcycle rider. He loved motorcycles. And when I was a kid, he took me on his motorcycle and literally just like drove me up the hill and down. And I remember that being like so fucking fun and thinking like, that's cool as hell. And then when I was like, probably like 17, 18, like enough of an adult. I was at my friend Brandon's house and he had a dirt bike. And in Elma, dirt bikes, that's all the fucking rage. Brap, as they say.
Brap, fellow cyclists.
I get on this fucking dirt bike. I've ridden 4-wheelers. That's fun. But I get on this fucking dirt bike. He's just got this little dirt track that goes in a circle. And I'm talking like maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. That's not how you measure circles, but you get what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to figure out the radius. I don't remember how. But there's one tree to the side of this little track. I start next to the tree. I go around the track. And as soon as I get to that tree, just start immediately veering into it. Just one lap around the track, straight into the tree. And fell over. And that was the end. That's the last time I've been on, I think, any sort of motorized vehicle that's not a car, is the way to say that. You ever ridden motorbikes or dirt bikes or motorcycles or anything like that?
No. My father-in-law has a motorcycle. And like the way it kind of all ties back into what I was kind of saying at the beginning of this episode. Seems too dangerous for me at this point in my life, so no real interest. Even the electric e-bikes.
Sure.
I'm like, no, not interested.
Too dangerous.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to once again bring up the ghoulish ghost of Louis C.K., but there's an episode of his show, Louis, that has always stuck to me as like, that is 100, like you're saying. That's how I feel about motorcycles, is he like gets into them and is like, I'm going to buy a motorcycle. And he shops for one, finds a really cool looking one, gets a cool leather jacket. Because I love spending money on accessories. And there's a lot of accessories you can get. And then he just like immediately rides it into like a truck and just has to go to the hospital. Like, yeah, I can't commit to that. I do think they're kind of cool. But here's where I'm the wimpy boy. The wimpy kid.
Yeah, put it in the diary.
I recognize there's a risk to motorcycles, but I'm willing to take that risk to a certain degree. But there's one element of motorcycles that I don't think I can get over, that I just fucking hate. Can you guess? This is a warm up to the quiz.
There's one element of motorcycles that you don't like.
At all. Hate.
And is this like an element of the motorcycles themselves or something that you see other motorcyclists
No, I'd call it an
do?
element of the motorcycle itself.
Okay. I'm going to say the noise.
That's it, baby. I'm
All
a
right.
wimp. I like protecting my little ears. They're so fucking loud, and the thought of just being on one of those for 2 or 3 hours driving somewhere, and it's like, yeah, this is the wide open road. This is relaxing as hell. Like, no, I don't like that, but I don't know. Friend of mine's a big motorcycle enthusiast, and he showed me a documentary and was trying to get me into like building motorcycles from scratch. I'm like, I fucking love that. Like, that sounds cool. Like going to shops, going like, ooh, there's a newish looking carburetor. I'll get that. Just getting a bunch of used stuff and building your own machine. I'm not gonna ride it though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna ride straight into a tree.
Briefly to tie it back to helmets here as we wrap up.
Please.
When we were in Temecula like a month and a half ago, back when I broke my tooth,
Yes.
we were driving back, and there was a guy on a motorcycle, and I was like, that must be a helmet, but it was like it looked like hair in the back.
Oh.
I was like, I think I recognize what this is, but we're gonna have to pull up and see. And sure enough, it was a helmet with big old dreadlocks in the back and the face of that classic movie monster, the Predator. And I was like, this is the coolest. Like, I would never, ever be this guy. But man, do I have a lot of respect for him.
That's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah. I thought, by the way, the reason I had to ask that clarifying question is I thought that you were going to talk about how lane splitting as a motorcyclist is, it's not legal everywhere in the U.S., but it is in California.
At least at the time, because that was a part of that documentary my friend showed me. And that was when I was living in Seattle. And at the time, it was only legal in California. So I don't know if that's changed. But yeah, it's scary as hell.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, me neither. Something I do like, though, Evan, is this very podcast.
That's nice.
You can find it on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, HowDoWeHuman.com, anywhere that you get your podcasts. You can find us. You can leave us a rating. You can leave us a review. You can follow, subscribe, do all those things.
Please.
Look, this is some confidential information that I'm about to share with you listeners, but there's some suspicious activity on some of these comedy podcast charts. And we want to be a part of it. So please leave us a lot of positive ratings and reviews.
Let us beat the cheaters.
Boost our numbers. Yeah, let us beat the cheaters. You can also check us out on our social media. You can find us on Instagram at HowDoWeHuman.
We got that handle.
Facebook at HowDoWeHuman.
Ooh, I don't think you're ready for that handle.
You can watch these podcasts in full video form on YouTube at HowDoWeHuman.
I can ride a bike with that handle bar.
You can leave us a voicemail at 323-657-9896.
Get a handle on that. See how that tastes.
Or you can send us an email to howdowehumanpod@gmail.com.
The best part of that bicycle is its cute little bell.
Ding.
You ever have a bell on a bike? Not to get back into this. They had them on those Long Beach bikes, and it was new to me. But ding ding. I'm like, yeah,
Some
kind of
people
cute.
need bells
Yes.
because they come up a little too quiet. Um, but it's time to get into our trivia battle again, Evan.
Let's do it.
Um, the current score as we play, by the way, to a 100 points, 5 points at a time max. Um, the score is currently Chris with 66 points, Evan with 60 points,
Wow.
and of course Dustin has 4 points.
Naturally.
Let's see. I had that little warm up to the quiz when you asked me a question. How do you feel having not had that same warm up opportunity?
I feel cold. I
Yeah.
feel so cold. But I'm ready to go.
All right. Question number 1. What is the bone diseases that literally translates to porous bones?
Okay.
Osteoporosis, osteonecrosis,
Necrosis?
rickets, or osteomyelitis.
Interesting. I feel like I know
Apologies to
this.
any of these diseases if I
If
mispronounced
if
their
they're
names.
listening.
Yeah.
I feel like I know
Um,
this.
I don't really know it,
There's
but
a
there's only one of these that I'm like aware of as being a thing. So I'm gonna pick that one.
Okay. Now I'm curious. Which is the only one you know? Because I know two of these.
I guess maybe I've heard of a second one, but I'm
Okay.
I'm picking
That is
osteoporosis.
also what I'm picking.
All right, let's see.
Because it also
That was
has
correct. We
the
both
word
got that right.
poor in it. I know
Yeah,
rickets. Come on.
okay. Rickets was the other one I thought I had heard of, but I wasn't really sure.
All right. These are tough. What is
Yeah.
the total approximate weight of a full... Oh, God. I didn't even read the full question. What is the total approximate weight of a full standard set of billiards balls, including the cue ball? 1 pound, 3 pounds, 10 pounds, or 6 pounds? Fuck. I thought we were trying to figure out the weight of one ball.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
have
going
no
to be
idea.
doing later.
I don't even know how many balls are in a standard set of
Oh
billiards.
no, he's fucked. I mean,
I'm between two numbers.
I guess I mean, yeah, I'm between two numbers too. I have one that I'm like, I think that has to be it, but it feels like a trap. I think I'm gonna go with it though, because I always shy away from these traps, and maybe it's just
Yeah.
not a trap. I'm gonna say, am I? Yes, 100%. I'm locking in 10 pounds.
Okay.
Never feels good to go for the biggest,
Yeah.
though. You know what I mean?
I agree, and it's such a big jump
Yes,
from the other number that I'm sure you were also between, which is 6.
correct.
But those are the two that I'm between as well, and I'm just trying to I'm trying to imagine. I'm trying to imagine these balls in my hand and
Yeah.
how they're making me feel.
Mm.
And I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna
All
go with
right.
10 because I think 6 might just be too light. If 8 was on here, I'd probably
Oh
go with 8.
yeah, 8
But
would be great.
let's see. We were wrong. It was 6.
Damn, it didn't update for me. 6
Oh,
pounds for the whole
yeah.
thing. That's wild. I don't
The
know.
2-cent piece was the first U.S.
Ooh.
coin to feature which phrase? In God we trust, justice for all, God enriches, union, justice, confidence.
It says the first,
Yeah.
and I've not known money to feature some of these. Doesn't mean
No, me
if it was the
neither.
first and last, it's still the first.
And granted, as far as what I'm looking for on money, it's generally just the number of what it is worth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also have not heard of some of these being on money before either.
Yeah, it would help to know when the 2 cent piece was introduced. Well, I guess it's not even when it was introduced, but like when it was.
Discontinued.
Yeah. I've never heard this, but I like God and riches. So it's just like, yeah, this is God's money.
Right.
You're getting rich off this 2-cent piece. I'm kind of tempted to just go for that. I know money will say, "In God we trust." I don't know if I've seen money that says "Justice for all," but those two feel like stuff I've seen. I've never seen the other two. I'm going crazy. I'm going to say God and riches.
All right, I'm gonna go "In God We
That's
Trust."
a good answer.
But I don't know.
This is damn it!
I was
I
correct.
got too
It was
clever.
"In God We Trust."
What was the first martial art to use colored belts to signify rank? Jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, karate, or judo?
Truly zero idea.
Hmm.
I'm between two of them.
First martial art. I mean, everything I'm doing is going against me this round, but I'm going to continue. I'm just going to say karate. I'm not going to overthink this.
That's where I'm gonna go to, because that's also me trying to not overthink it.
Yeah.
The other one I was looking at is taekwondo, but
Yeah,
I am gonna pick karate as well.
Judo.
All right, last one. What kind of tea takes its name from the Chinese for black dragon?
Interesting.
Biluchon, oolong, kongu, or huangcha? Apologies to any of these teas if they're listening and I mispronounced your name.
You got the hard ones this time.
I did.
I only know one of
I
these
have an
teas.
answer, and I'm not. It is a full-on guess, but I do have an answer.
I'm just gonna go with the tea I know.
That's what I'm doing.
We're voting alongside one another a lot, assuming we both know oolong.
That is the one that I know as well, and that is correct. All right, I did gain a point on you in this differential. That changes the scores, Evan. You are now at 62 points.
That's all.
And I am at 69 points. Nice.
Well, we did it. I feel inspired to buy some sort of cycling device. Whether that's a
I definitely think we got to get you into that clown life.
That's what I need. Let's go.
There can't be that many clowns up in the mountains where you live. I think you can monopolize.
God, that's a great point.
Monopolize the mountains.
Are there mountain clowns? I'll have to look into this.
Pitch it to this to Sky Park nearby.
Can I practice my mountain?
You guys
clowning?
need a clown?
Okay. Clown, bicycle, Okay, bicycle.
Okay, bicycle.
Okay, bike.